Hi, it seems to have been a while since I've been on YouTube and done any recording. I thought today I'd do one of my girls and just show you how I get the face together. It's basically sort of an oval egg shape, and I do it lightly and roughly. I then divide it halfway down the middle and halfway across the centre, and then from that point I do halfway again below for the nose and then halfway again for the mouth. I then have two ovals for the eyes, but make sure that there's a gap between of about the same width as those ovals I've created, so that they're nicely spaced out. Most of my girls I do have fairly large eyes, but you can make them any size or shape that you like, really. And then I gradually go around. If you notice, I sort of flit around the page doing different areas, and then I just work around the light sketch and just refine it gently and until I'm sort of happy with the sort of thing that I have got in mind. Very often I don't have anything in mind, she sort of just appears on the page. And then when I've done that, I'll gently erase the initial lines that I put in, the dividing lines, and I use a small Tombow eraser for that. It's like a pencil, and it's really handy because it gets into the small bits. I then go back in and slightly darken up those pencil lines, and then I'll use one of my waterproof pens. I like to use black, but you can use any colour really. And then I go over the areas that I'd like to sort of enhance, parts of the features, like the eyes, the nose, the mouth, outline of the face, the neck, eyebrows, and just sort of basic lines for the hair, just so that I've got her image down. And then when I'm happy with that, I erase some of the pencil lines that I no longer need. Once I'm happy with that, I then start to think about obviously putting some colour on her face. And usually I mix up a colour of, I get sort of like a peachy colour for her face, and I do it's usually perhaps a scarlet lake I like, and a yellow, and then I water it down and I get this sort of peachy colour. It sometimes looks a bit dark when it first goes down, but I do tend to use a lot of water with my watercolours anyway, because I like to build up the layers. But you need to remember as well that watercolour dries lighter than when you put it down to start with, so sometimes it might look a little bit dark, but it will dry a little bit lighter. And whilst it's moist, I can add in some pink. I think this is permanent rose I was using for adding a little bit of pink texture. And then I just work around and sort of build up the colours that I want. I don't really have any order in which I do these. I sort of flit around and try to work away from where something's drying if I can. If not, I get the hairdryer out. But I nearly always, like, you know, when I come to do the eyes, I'll always make sure that the face is dry so that I don't get any of the colour bleeding into the face. And I nearly always have the tissue in my other hand just so that I can blot any wayward bits of colour that I don't like, or if I think it's a little bit too strong. And when I come to do the hair, I usually put a lighter colour down first so that I can determine where I'd like perhaps the highlights, get a little bit of glow on her hair. Many of my girls tend to have a sort of like a yellow and then perhaps a brownish red coloured hair, but I nearly always start with the yellows. I really enjoy doing these, and when I come to do the face, it just reminds me so much of putting on makeup. You know, you sort of build up the base tone with the foundation, and then you put on the pink with the blusher, and a bit of contour, and then put the eye makeup on, and yeah, then she gradually comes to life. I have, of course, speeded this up. I think this is about 4 times the speed at which I was normally painting this. Painting itself took about an hour and a half, so it did take me a little while, and I'm sure you don't really want to sit and watch me paint for an hour and a half. And if you would like to see how I've done certain parts perhaps in real time, let me know, and I'll gladly I'll do a separate clip, you know, and show you how I did certain parts in real time. Just drop me a message down below, and if that's something you might be interested in. The darker colours of her hair's going in, I will say sort of the yellows on for the light, and sort of starting to put in the medium tones. And this is sort of like this is raw sienna, which is one of my favourite colours. I love it, and sort of mix it with so many other things, and it's quite a universally usable colour. Once I've got the main colours in, I tend to then flick around with the brush to get some little hairs going out, to start to build up what her hair's like. As for the eyes, I'm using my waterproof pen again, just to outline certain parts of the eye, and the pupil I'm just going over the blue area, because I painted the iris all blue, and then I'm putting in the black on top of that with this waterproof pen, because I will probably be painting over it. So, you know, if you use something that doesn't hold the colour well, you could end up spoiling what you've already done, because it'll bleed, the colours will bleed, smudge. A bit of eye makeup on for her. A lot of the layers that I put on are very diluted, and although you may not be able to actually see them here, they do actually make a difference. You know, and I can then build up more and more on top if I wanted to. I'm now putting in a darker layer on the hair, a bit more interest. When it comes to adding white, most of the time I try to use the white of the paper if I can, but there are some times, like the little white light reflections that you get in eyes and off the mouth and things like that, and I use a waterproof gel pen. I like the Jelly Roll pen, and but there's plenty of others out there that you could use, but you're best off to use a waterproof one if you can. Another one you could use is the Posca pen. That does, I think that's like a white acrylic liquid. They're quite nice. Putting other layers on now and building up more depth. I just used 2 brushes in this. I've got a 6 and a 4, but they have got quite fine, they're fairly long hairs in the brush, and they do come to quite a nice point, but it's only 2 brushes that I'm using. And the paper is a Sanderson Waterford paper. I buy it in a pack, flat pack, and this is one of my little books that I've actually made. I can never seem to find a watercolour book that has the type of paper that I like, so I tend to buy the sheets in a pack that are loose, and then I make up my own book of probably about 12 pages or something like that. And this one that I'm working in now, I think it's all got girls in it, you know, girls' faces. Once I've filled it up, I'll do a flip through for you all. She's coming together quite nicely. Got a nice face. Adding in some shadows and a bit of yellow in the skin. I mean, my skin is made up of all different shades, no matter what your base colour is. There's all sorts of colours in your skin. There's blues, pinks, yellows, greens. It's fascinating, really. She's looking a bit pale. Perhaps I should have made her a little bit darker. Give her a bit more colour. So what I'm doing here is I'm using the gel pen and rubbing it round on her top of her nose and her chin, and then just dabbing it with my finger just to sort of soften it a little bit. It's where the highlights, where the light touches the nose and the chin. You can't really see it that well in the video, but it just adds a little bit of dimension to her face. Just going over with the pen. I used a red outline pen for her lips. And just doing a bit of spattering just to finish it off. And I think we're almost at the end. Just tidying up a little bit of pencil line. And there it is finished. Now, I hope you enjoyed it. I loved painting it for you, so see you again soon. Bye.